Hello, Los Angeles. Hello, Major League Soccer fans. Hello, lovers of the beautiful game. And greetings to the millions
and millions
of Defenders of the Bank listeners. Welcome to episode 279. My name is Philly, the self-proclaimed frustrated platinum-colored haired flamingo. And that's all I'm going to say about myself in this introduction. And joining me on the other side of town, thanks to this thing called technology, which enables an analog dinosaur such as myself to participate in this digital space with my fellow analog dinosaur on this project, the mouth of the South Bay, J.R. Liebert, otherwise affectionately known as
the Scarf. What is good, LAFC faithful Defenders Nation? Hello. And yes, we are frustrated with you. LAFC's goalless streak hitting 402 minutes. 402 minutes. In case you wanted to figure out what you could do in 402 minutes, hi, it's Scarf, your resident nerd here. So the first thing I immediately did was I checked in on the running time of all three original Star Wars movies. Yes, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. If you wanted to sit down and watch all three, you absolutely could in your 402 minutes. In fact, you could watch all three from end to end and have 15 minutes left over to heat up some popcorn in between or whatever else it is that you would like to do. 402 minutes without scoring a goal. The drought is real. The mood is real. It's definitely a different feel inside of BMO Stadium over these last couple of weeks.
It's wild that we've gone that long without a goal. I think the statistic was over the course of 5 years, our first 5 seasons, we had failed to score in 19 different games. This season alone, in every competition, 13 games we have not scored goals in. Our club always prided itself on being fast-paced, action-packed, high-scoring, rip-roaring, the stuff that I used to talk about a lot in the beginning of the season. And now we can't seem to find the back of the net. In that 2020 COVID short season, we had almost as many goals in half the games played as we do now in double the games played. It is wild to me. Even in the post-game conference, Carlos Vela couldn't remember the last time they went this long without scoring a goal. And it is only appropriate that the only goal in this game happened to come from our most lethal weapon in recent history. Of course, it was Chicho that scored. And that just, it just guts me. We don't have a potent threat other than Denny Bwanga. We ship off our other potent threat. He finally gets the money he deserves. He gets the designated player role he deserves, and he scores against us. Meanwhile, we're just having trouble finding the back of the net against teams like RSL, a team that hadn't scored on us since August 4th of 2022, a team that hadn't scored on us in the 2 games this season, a team that we had beat on an aggregate 7-0 in the 2 games that we played. It just doesn't sit well with me, man. We are trending negatively. And the only thing we have to look forward to if the team continues to play this way, Scarf, is not having to shell out as much money on playoff tickets, because they make the playoffs. They're going to be out in the first round the way they're playing. This just doesn't sit well with me right now.
Yeah, and the frustrating part about this is if you watch the match, RSL never threatened. They didn't threaten throughout the entire match. And no Giorgio Chiellini, so it's not the Chiellini defensive effect, although I think him in training and everything that he brings to the table certainly helps. This was a club that made a substitution, had an early cross put in on an absolutely pinpoint spot, a beautiful cross on that goal to Chicho. And it found his head, and he did exactly what he should do with it. I don't know that they had maybe 2 or 3 other good opportunities the entire match. LAFC did absolutely everything they had to do. I feel badly for Maxime Crepeau because he must feel like, wow, I'm come back into the fold and I can't make but one mistake, and not that the goal was his fault at all, but he's living on dental floss, a razor thin margin of error here that he can barely do anything. I feel bad for the guy, because he has to stand on his head almost every night in order to keep us into the match, because right now we just can't score. Philly, let's pay some bills real quick, and then we'll get into all the other top of the show banter that we've got going on. We want to remind everybody that, of course, we are part of the Flex family, flexpowertools.com. Head on over to flexpowertools.com for all your power tool needs. I saw an advertisement in the stadium today at BMO that if you scan this QR code, one of their drill sets was half off. It was like $89 for a drill set. Are you kidding me? You guys, you get a full lifetime warranty for everything you purchase at flexpowertools.com. Register it on their website, and it comes with a full free lifetime warranty. Flexpowertools.com. And again, we are so lucky to be part of the Flex family. And we want to remind everybody that the Mauricio Facio futsal court fundraising effort is underway. Get Mo's futsal court funded, built, and going out there in Southeast LA. LAFC.com/Mo-Facio to get your donation on. I'm going to donate $84. That's right. If anybody out there wants to donate along with us, $84. That's the it's like a remembrance of the last time we scored in the 84th minute against Carson 402 minutes ago in soccer time. 84th minute, Timothy Tillman with the goal against Carson. That was the last time we scored. I'm going $84.
Sir, it's getting quite expensive. $84.
Sorry.
Now I'm going to feel like, the cheapie. I'm going to put, I don't know. I live in Burbank. I have a mortgage. That's expensive. I'm going to put down $4.21. Indicative of the 421 days since RSL last scored on us. I'll leave it at that. 421. I'm trying to save money. Got playoff tickets maybe to pay for.
So Philly, Carlos Vela bobblehead night at BMO. It was a raucous occasion. 10,000 bobbleheads for 22,000 fans is always going to cause some sort of chaos. I know there was the one post up on LAFC fans Facebook page with a guy who had a bunch of bobbleheads that apparently he pulled the old, well, these aren't all mine. Hold on. These are just friends of mine too. We put them in a picture. I'm not going to judge the guy. I don't know. I do know there were plenty of fans that arrived early that didn't get a bobblehead. I know there were plenty of people that got several bobbleheads. All I know is at the end of the day, man, there's no making everybody happy with something like this. But I will say the only bobblehead in our collection for the longest time had been Bob Bradley. So it is about time that they finally get El Rey his bobblehead.
I agree. And look, I'm going online right now.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna shame anybody for getting a couple of these. If you're gonna shame anybody, it should be just the process on how these things were handed out. If they were handed out in a piss poor fashion, some people are gonna get more. It kills me when there are little kids out there that would have really wanted one that didn't get one. Our little buddy up in front of us and like behind you, the Mercurius family. Kid was just like, I didn't get a bobblehead. I'm like, yeah, kid, I gave him mine and Panda gave me hers. So, I mean, I'm not going to do a lot with bobbleheads. But when you go on eBay, there's already somebody selling one for $175 plus $9.80 for shipping. And I'm not going to shame him either. I'm going to shame the person that spends $175 on a bobblehead creating this market. These ridiculous prices wouldn't exist if there weren't buyers out there that were spending that kind of money. And I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, but that's why we have these stupid things. That's why we already have these controversies about stuff, because there's markets that are created. Am I ever going to feel sorry for the guy who spent $10,000 on a ticket to see Messi and Messi didn't play? Hell no. And I'm going to praise the guy who made money on it. That's a capitalistic thing. But if markets get created for these things, markets get created for these things. So it's just wild to me that somebody would actually go out there and spend that much money on a freaking bobblehead. People got cash to burn in this town, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, look, Carlos Vela bobblehead night coinciding with the last day of Major League Baseball. And Philly, our Mets officially got put out of their misery today with Buck Showalter. He said he was leaving the team, and then a couple hours later, the team was like, no, we kind of fired him, but whatever. It doesn't matter how. He got a standing ovation. No more Buck Showalter in New York. That's sad for us. The Dodgers, though, winning their 100th game of the season, the third straight season that they have done so, and the fourth straight full season that they have pulled off the feet. So good luck to the Dodgers in the playoffs. I didn't see Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani anywhere in the playoffs again this year, so I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. And Philly, we got 3 games left in the regular season, my friend, and the mood is definitely a little somber at BMO.
We're not a very good team on the road. We've got 3 wins on the season. The hope was winning at home these last couple of games. This was our last weekend game, our last Sunday, our last official tailgate during the weekend, the last of a lot of things. Because Wednesday games, let's face it, they're not the same as a weekend game. The tailgates aren't, the crowds aren't. Like, this kind of was the last game. And then we're going to end up going on the road at Austin and Vancouver. And we just can't win on the road. Like, where the heck are we going to end up, if anywhere? Had we won today, we would have clinched a playoff spot. Now we have to kick that can down the road. RSL's in second place. We got positioned in fourth, I believe, at this point, in a very tightly packed Western Conference. It's just not been a good year, man. Like, we've missed out on so many opportunities. And I think Carlos Vela said it best himself today in our press conference. You have that many opportunities for trophies and you lose that many games, it rips your confidence. And it's obviously ripped theirs and it's ripped ours as fans, supporters, and lovers of this team. I'm not confident going into Wednesday the way they're playing. I'm not confident going down to Austin. Certainly not confident going to Vancouver on decision day. I've gotten to the point where I'm no longer cautious or cautiously optimistic. I'm bordering on mildly pessimistic at this point.
Yeah, look, it's going to take a Herculean effort to get us out of the playoffs in terms of where our standings are. And it's going to be really tough for us not to qualify. I'll actually go into that at the end of the podcast, a little bit of scheduling with the scarf. It's going to be real tough for us not to qualify. However, what good does it do to qualify if we back our way in or our form is what it has been recently? I was, as you all know from listening to One More Sleep last night, I was incredibly optimistic. The outlook for these 4 games, these 4 teams that are all below us in the standings, or at least were at the start of the night, as RSL jumps to second in the West. I was bullish because I felt like, look, these are teams that are beatable. These are teams that don't score a whole ton against us. These are teams that we match up pretty well against. And then lo and behold, we pull off a stinker, the likes of which I don't know that we had done much worse in terms of offensive performance than tonight. So we'll have to get into that in just a little bit. We've got some news and notes. We normally do throw into this day in LAFC history, but I'm going to forego that just so we can get to the meat and potatoes of some things. And the first thing we want to do is check in on one Jose Cifuentes. If you guys think that things are bad at LAFC right now, and they are, they definitely aren't much better at Sifu's new stomping grounds, Rangers FC in Scotland. Rangers fell over the weekend 3-1 to Christian Ramirez's old Scottish club, Aberdeen. And after the match, Rangers parted ways with team manager Michael Beale and his entire coaching staff. You think that the stakes are high and the leash is short here at LAFC. The club sits third in the table of 12 clubs after 7 games in the Scottish Premiership, and they just did not like the way things were going. So Beale and company are out. But it wasn't all bad for Sifu, however, as he bagged his first assist in a Rangers kit in their 75th minute goal. He started and played the full 90. Rangers' next match is Thursday, October 5th, and it's a Europa League qualifier against a Cypriot team, Cyprus-based Aris Limassol. That's fun. So they got a Europa League qualifier. Good luck to our buddy Jose Cifuentes. In the Angel City Minute, they play tomorrow, October 2nd, Orlando Pride. Monday at BMO, guys, be there. They are just 1 point below the playoff line with 3 matches left. They still have not lost in the Becky Tweed era. Make sure you get out to one of these last 2 home matches at BMO Stadium for Angel City. Philly, I got nothing. One quick thing. We got to say a big thank you. These are awesome. These are absolutely awesome. Miguel and Anna, I mean, come on. This brought me to tears. For those of you that are just on the audio portion of it, we were given 2 beautifully designed, custom designed tumblers by Miguel and Anna, and we can't say thank you enough.
I love this. I mean, it has that we are the trailblazing MLS Cup raising, always competing monologue that I go off. And then even like you look at the personalization, you're looking at it, low to the millions, and Scarf says.
And millions.
And then I got this literal. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. Like an actual platinum colored haired flamingo. How does one even find this? It's just amazing. Obviously, the Defenders logo with the star on it. Shout out to Dexter for creating this. And an image of like, a guy drinking coffee and screaming at a mic. Thank you so much. This is between this and the little bracelets that we got.
Yeah.
And just the videos that was really my favorite part of the day. And honestly, just thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, our hearts. Y'all, the millions
and millions
are what make doing this worth it. If it's just Scarf and I complaining, maybe we would just still have fun doing this. But the fact that there's a bunch of y'all out there that actually care that much, just take time out of your day to do something as amazing as this. Thank you. I will cherish this. I will cherish this is what I'm saying for as long as I can. Nobody's drinking out of this other than me.
Yeah, remember, don't put it in the dishwasher, Philly. This was the one that this was the one that got me. It's they did this for my dad and I just.
Oh, I didn't even see that scarf.
Yeah, there were some tears when I opened this up and looked at it. So again, thank you guys so much. This is just, I mean, it's a tumbler, right? It's just something we drink out of every day, but to make it so personal, like that. I mean, we got a really cool damn community, man, of these black and gold faithful. If you haven't been out to Christmas Tree Lane, you haven't been out to BMO Stadium, get out there. Like we're talking about a club that's possibly playing its worst run of form in our 6 years, and yet we've got really, really great people doing really, really great things so many different ways for this club. So I love it
so much, man. It's more than just a team that rooting for a team that wins and loses. It's being in the stands and being there and sharing and commiserating with your fellow supporters. It's with LAFC, man, it's differently. And just, Miguel and Anna, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's even on our worst days, it's still a wonderful day. Speaking of which, speaking of good days, it's Latin Heritage Night at BMO Stadium. You guys can see I got both scarves right up here, right behind me. We've got the scarf designed by the Salvadoran scarf, shirt, and hat patch, all designed by Mickey Guerra, a Salvadoran American LA-based artist. That's the black one right here. You can see me pointing to that on the screen. And then the Mexican scarf, shirt, and hat patch designed by Nevermade, Francisco Reyes, who is far more well-known as Nevermade. He is a Mexican-American, Los Angeles-based artist. Dude, these scarves are pretty sick. I mean, this is a cool one, the Salvadoran one, the double-sided one. But the marigold, I think these are marigolds. I mean, it's a really cool scarf, man. They've done some great stuff. And then, I mean, come on. When you get to have your honorary Falconer, look, I get it, right? We've had Heisman Trophy winners. We've had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, NBA champions. We had Johnny Hecker, the punter for Super Bowl champion Rams. Those guys are all great. Believe me, athletes, especially Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with all the social justice and civil rights stuff that he's done. But to have NASA engineer and astronaut Jose Hernandez, the subject of the biopic on Amazon Prime, A Million Miles Away, we're talking about a guy who was in the fields picking crops with his family as a young kid growing up that dreamed of going to outer space. And then he becomes a NASA astronaut after being turned down several times. You want to talk about the actual dream of a life. It is Jose Hernandez and everything that he has done. So to have him as our honorary Falconer and to be representing such pride on Latin Heritage Night. I mean, that was cool, man. I got goosebumps. And I'm going to call out LAFC front office. We know you guys listen to our podcast. I'm going to call you guys out. You ready for this? We need to get Mariachi Las Catrinas on every match. Playing, what is it? Ecstasy of Gold. Is that right? Is that the name of the Ennio Morricone?
Yep.
The walkout song. Having them play it, I mean, that was just kind of badass. Like, I know they've done it a couple of times, but it just added another layer. Maybe they could play like over the top of it one time. That could be cool. But also, I'm sorry, how Los Angeles feeling, how Angelino was that national anthem. Their lead singer for that mariachi group, Mariachi Las Catrinas, blew the doors off of the vocals of it. The music was beautiful. It just seemed to fit. I don't care that it was Latin Heritage Night. You could have them roll out and do that national anthem every single match, and I would not be disappointed one bit. Mariachi Las Catrinas, thank you for being another part of our pregame ceremony.
I have a lot of arm hair. I do. It's
You do.
unfortunate, and it's genetic. I guess it's just the European in me. But when there's a great singer that sings the national anthem, these hairs on my forearms, they rise, along with my spirit for that matter. And she did a phenomenal job on that. Like, to me, that's for me personally, that's how I know, like, I'm really into the anthem. Like, just to have somebody just like hit those high notes and just, I don't know, it was just amazing. And by the way, you just sold me on that biopic because I had no idea about that. A Million Miles Away on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, man, it is really cool. In fact, I think it's something I'm going to be able to show my middle schoolers. We, every now and then we get a little time to watch a movie, and that would be a cool one, I think.
Yeah, I got to check that out. It blows my mind, man. I remember just going to see the space shuttle for the first time, like earlier this year, not even knowing that it was as close over on Christmas Tree Lane. Blows my mind, man. Like, some people like dream about going to space and they get there. Others do it hydroponically, which isn't as bad either, but it's just such a different animal space. Wow.
Dude, and by the way, hopefully have you seen Hidden Figures? That movie?
I don't even know what that is.
Dude, all right. So put that on your list too. You're going to have like an all astronaut, cool NASA movie watch little sit down.
I got to find some time in between that and like the first 9 Saw movies I have to watch with Panda before I go see the 10th one.
Well, look, in 402 minutes that LAFC hasn't scored, you can definitely watch Hidden Figures and A Million Miles Away. That's for sure. Yeah. Look, back when we scored goals, Philly, you mentioned it. We beat this team 3-0 and 4-0 this regular season. This is a team that hasn't scored on us since early last year. And we came in confident. I came in confident thinking LAFC would continue to do the things that we have done against Real Salt Lake. And I think that for the most part, actually, we continue to do a lot of the same things that we had done. The first half was dominated by LAFC, in my opinion. But Philly, just something about this tail end of our schedule here in 2023, even though it's a team like RSL where we were 13-2 all competitions coming in to this match, I felt like Jeff Goldblum, nature finds a way. Some of these teams have just found a way recently.
RSL just as good at home as they are on the road. And that's put them in that position that they've been in. And kudos to them, obviously. Like, they actually started making some moves and bringing in some decent players. Obviously, Chicho being one of them. In the 657 or so minutes that he played for them prior to tonight, he already found the back of the net 5 occasions and assisted once. Tack on another 90 minutes and change. He gets a 6th goal in all competitions for RSL. So it's no surprise that they bring Chicho on and they actually start turning things around. RSL was a team that we never really had an issue with. The only time they beat us, and yeah, we put in the story that, we've gone undefeated against them. That's regular season. They did beat us in the playoffs back in 2018, thanks to Damir Kreilach.
Yeah.
But they're a team that, again, when you're winning at home and you're pulling W's on the road, you're going to make some noise. You're going to do some damage. And they just absolutely, well, I'm not going to say they damaged us, but certainly our pride is damaged today.
Yeah, look, there's a reason why they're now sitting 2nd in the West. It's incredible. By the way, Philly, if we were in the East, we'd be in the 9 spot right now, like fighting for the 9 spot with Nashville. Really? Yeah. If we were in the East, our 45 points, we'd be fighting for the 9 spot. These last 3 games, they'd feel a little bit heavier. That's for sure. I'll get into our playoff positioning and seeding at the end of the podcast. But Paulo Mastroeni definitely pulling all the right strings, doing some good things with Real Salt Lake this year. Former MLS legend. Look, I chronicled Paulo Mastroeni on the last 2 podcasts that we did for RSL. I don't spend a lot more time on the coach. This team eventually settled in that 4-4-2 block that they like to settle into. They were so happy just to let us keep the ball and have possession and then counter. And that's what they did. Their goalie, Zach McMath, who I continue to rip left and right, saying I didn't think he was a very good goalie, absolutely shut me up today. Zach McMath was perfectly fine in terms of between the pipes, doing everything you need to do to keep your team in the match. He absolutely did that. Zach McMath was great. Andrew, not Adrian, Brody. And then we got, back in the day, Philly, when we used to play Name That Perez. I miss those days. We had Josh Perez, Adrian Perez, Alejandro Guido Perez. Those were fun times when we could play Name That Perez.
Well, I actually found one of those Perez's.
Did you find an Adrian?
Alejandro.
Ah, it's the ghost.
The ghost,
Alejandro Guido.
Hold on. Hey, Alejandro, say hi, Scarf.
Hey, Alejandro, say hi, Scarf.
What just happened? Oh, my God.
Say hi, Scarf.
Say hi, Scarf.
Alejandro's talking now.
He does.
Oh, geez.
He does talk.
Turn this thing off.
Turn this thing off.
Oh, boy. That was fun. Yeah, that's what you get for waking up Alejandro Guido. We also, of course, had Javi Perez as part of our Name That Perez as well. This club has Named That Brian, and my favorite part about it is none of them spell their name the same way. We got Brian Oviedo, who spells it Bryan. We have Brian Vera, who spells it Brayyan. And we have Brian Ojeda, who spells it Braian. Brian Ojeda. So you got Name That Brian happening left and right between Oviedo, Vera, and Ojeda. Justin Glad rounding out the back line. Andres Gomez, Nelson Palacio, just one Palacio. We have Diego Palacios. Diego Luna on the front line with Jefferson Savarino. And you pointed this out. It wasn't what RSL had tweeted out before or what was shown on the Jumbotron, but wearing the captain's armband was one Chicho Arango to round out the starting 11 for Real Salt Lake. On the bench, the four names that eventually made their way into the match were Michael Chang, who was not the tennis player from the 90s and early 2000s, Rubio Rubin, Bodie Hidalgo, and of course, former fan favorite and friend of the podcast, Oliver, we hope you're listening to, Danny Musovsky. That rounds out the lineup for RSL Philly. I loved the lineup coming into the match. I thought we were going to be able to do good things. Let's tell the black and gold faithful who started for LAFC.
Yeah, it was a lineup that should have caused some damage. Max in between the pipes. Hollingshead, Long, Murillo, Palacios right in front of him, depending on which way you're looking at it, of course. In the midfield, Timothy Tillman, Ilie Sanchez, and Kellen Acosta, who did not have a very long afternoon. More on that later. Denny Bouanga, Carlos Vela, and Christian Oliveira up top. Still no signs of Mario Gonzalez, although Steve did shed some light on the fact that he will be back and participating in training on Monday, October 2nd. So maybe we will see El Pistolero de Agua soon enough. The subs that are worth mentioning and the subs that played, Mati Bogush, Nathan Ordaz, welcome back, kid.
Yeah.
Sergei Palencia, Filip Krastev, and that's it. That's it. That's who played today.
Yeah. Look, it was first 7 minutes, whole first half, but
yeah, first half, dude.
first 7 minutes were played almost entirely in the middle of the park. I don't know that there were any balls that went in the 18, save maybe one or two for the entire 7 minutes. I don't know that there was one threatening run, by either side. It was just, there was a ball played back to Max, a couple of probing passes by us, but really for the most part, not a lot going on there. In fact, the most exciting play for the first 10 minutes or so was Ryan Hollingshead getting absolutely crushed from behind. Look, I've seen a lot less called for a yellow. I have a real problem. I really do. I'm sorry. I have a real problem with the officiating when they take into account the time in the match when something happens. I'm sorry. To me, that foul in the 9th minute absolutely has to be a yellow card. It was from behind. It was violent with no attempt on the ball. I don't care that it was the first foul of the game. It might have been the first foul of the game. If something like that happens, then something like that needs to be officiated the same way that if it would have happened in the 89th minute versus just the 9th minute. I have a real problem with that foul in the 9th minute on Ryan Hollingshead not being given a card. And in fact, that same player went on to foul a couple more times in the half, I believe, and wasn't called for persistent infringement, wasn't given a yellow for anything like that in the first half. Really frustrating, Philly. And we're 10 minutes in and not a lot to show for it.
Pro, the actual organization that employs some of these POS referees. And I'm talking about you, Drew Fisher. I'm still mad at you from Wednesday. You are a POS. Pro stands for Professional Referee Organization. Scarf, they should really go through a rebrand. They should call themselves Crap. And I don't mean that just as like cheeky, like that's how you guys are.
Billy
Crap,
came up with an acronym.
It's an acronym for controversial referees acting poorly. Crap. That's your organization. The fact that we have to have these conversations about the Pensos and the Uncles and the Fishers, and I forgot what today's knucklehead's last name was, but there's no consistency. At one point, I thought he was losing a little bit of control on the game. And then at one point, like you felt like the yellow cards were burning in his pocket. We got 5 of them. The officiating in this league is just so piss poor, man. Like it really, really is.
I mean, at one point, he couldn't even hold on to his yellow card. Aaron Long had to hold it up for him. I was really hoping Long would show him the yellow card rather than hand him the yellow card back. Anyway, 17th minute.
He also kept getting in the way of the play, the play of the game.
Yeah.
Plenty of times he got in both teams' way. Where do they find these knuckleheads, man? Like seriously, like, go back to AYSO, you pieces of crap.
It was not good. The officiating today after Carlos Vela fouled the free kick leading to a corner in the 17th minute, and it was a perfect corner from Carlos Vela to Timothy Tillman. Not sure how Tillman wasn't able to at least get that on frame. In fact, it looked like he mistimed his jump and pushed it up and over the bar. A beautiful set piece opportunity, and Carlos doing everything that he needed to do in his power to put that ball in a place where we could be at least dangerous with it, which was fine. And in the 22nd minute, you have Denis Bouanga hammering a free kick after another foul, but it was a good save by Zach McMath. I really liked the buildup right after that, too. You had a steal by Timothy Tillman to Carlos Vela to Denis Bouanga, but that pass to Denis was just long. I mean, again, I like the buildup. I like the momentum. The next 10, 15 minutes after those first 10 minutes really helped to kind of reestablish our offense a little bit. We were playing a little bit better. I think that, clearly between the two teams, Philly, we were the more dangerous team in the first half, but still a lot of questions moving forward as we hit like the half-hour mark, basically, of the first half.
Yeah, 30th minute, Denny plays playing some pretty good defense today, absolutely stripping Nelson Palacio. Gets the ball over to Velo, who ends up back-heeling it to Christian Oliveira. Kind of a little off target, but Oliveira just pulled one back and just let her rip. And it was saved by McMath. That was pretty nice. But where things started getting kind of weird, 31st minute, Kellen was down. And then you saw Mati Bogusz taking off his penny and getting ready to go into the game. And then, never mind, Kellen went back out there. But it didn't take long after that, another 2 minutes, and Kellen's down again. And instantly, Steve subbed Mati Bogusz in the game, and Kellen walked out with the trainer straight back into the locker room. We don't have a final word on that, but, I mean, there is some kind of injury that happened to Kellen Acosta on there. That much we do know, but we're going to have to stay tuned to figure out what the deal is. And hopefully we catch some word about that on Monday. But you mentioned something, and this happened again in the 36th minute with a handball by RSL. They were conceding a lot of really crappy corners on their end. Some really questionable, like kicking out of bounds, plays like that. And we weren't able to punish them the way that we should have. We had our opportunities. We certainly did, but I feel like we didn't make the most of our chances, even though RSL was really gift wrapping a lot of opportunities for us to strike first.
No, you're absolutely right. Carlos Vela put the ball in the right spot a couple of times on some of these set pieces, and we couldn't do anything. But you want to talk about gift wrapping. Another great Denis Bouanga takeaway, and it's Carlos Vela to Denis, and after cooking his defender, just pushes the shot wide. Again, we saw, and by the way, that angle on the Kike Oliveira, the cookery that he did last game, how badly he missed the shot was just epic. This one, at least, was just pushed wide of target. But I guess in the buildup on that play, Ilie Sanchez committed a foul. And so Ilie picks up a yellow card in the 39th minute. Honestly, we saw the first time that Chicho went down in the middle of the pitch was in the 43rd minute. He would only do that, 11 more times in the second half. But that was the first time he did it. in the first half. He jogged off, appeared okay. 3 minutes of stoppage time. There was one play where we got a couple different opportunities in the box where the ball was headed first by Aaron Long and then by Jesus Murillo and then by Ilie Sanchez, and the ball goes right to Zach McMath. But I said it as soon as you and I got up to like the concourse area where we were. That might have been one of the most boring first halves of play that I have seen LAFC play all season.
Yep. And oddly enough, we still ended up with 7 shots and 3 of them on target. Pretty good passing accuracy and a few chances created. We had 4 corners on there, which we failed to score on. At that point, RSL only had 2 shots with nothing on target. So Max, up until the second half, really didn't have anything really going on. If there's anything that RSL did better than us in the first half is foul our players, as they had 9 to our 3. But starting off the second half, no changes made. We did, by the way, have a proposal that time I caught that. She said yes. I didn't catch the names of the newly engaged folk. But speaking really quick of not newly engaged, but I want to give a shout out to Bennett Rosenthal, our owner, and his wife, Allison, celebrating their 29th wedding anniversary. Look, I've been married once before. I've been married to Panda. We've been married since 2017. I'm sure there's plenty of y'all out there that listen to the show that are married. Marriage isn't easy. In fact, it's a challenge because it requires 2 parties working together. One could always do their thing and be, accountable for that, but it takes 2. So the fact that they made it 29 years, God bless. And God bless the newly engaged couple that were out there at halftime. I know Jimmy and Cassie got engaged at the bank. I think there was one other one we might. Oh, yeah, obviously, our friend Taylor.
Yeah.
Our friend Taylor. And then I think this was the third one. The third time we saw an engagement, a proposal at BMO. I like it. It's fun. It puts you in a good mood. It gives you the warm bubblies.
Taylor and Max for sure. All I remember is her name was Anna, because on the board it said, "Will you marry me, Anna?" So
I missed that.
I think it was Anna. Now I hope it was Anna. Anyway, congrats. If it wasn't Anna, congrats anyway. Philly, you mentioned it. No substitutions made. We roll right back out. Second half, we had both Chicho and Gomez having shots saved in the first few minutes. I thought that RSL really came out with a little bit more. I don't know. I'm going to sound like an old guy, but a little bit more pep in their step, a little bit more.
These whippersnappers and their energy drinks and their power bars.
Just stay off my lawn. That's all I need you to do. And no, look, I thought that RSL looked a lot better in the second half. Still, I don't know if they were ever really threatening up until this point, but especially in that first half, they were just nowhere to be found. I really love this like beautiful kind of short corner play that Carlos Vela did. 54th minute, we earn a corner kick. Carlos Vela to Daniba Wanga, just kind of played it up to the corner of the box. It wasn't a cross at all. It was a pass completely on the ground to the corner of the box. And then Denis was able to make a pretty strong shot right on target. I thought that was a pretty good play. And then just 1 minute later, we get Kike Oliveira picking up a yellow card as he came crashing in. It was Mateus Bogusz with like one of those little worm burner kind of bouncers right in front of the keeper where, look, it was saved, but it was kind of spilled by Zach McMath, and that kind of meant that he just didn't corral it right away. He was trying to fall on top of it. Kike crashing in apparently made contact with the keeper at a time you couldn't. So it was a yellow to Kike Oliveira. And then it was just 2 more minutes of Chicho Arango being down on the ground for a while.
Yeah, 58th minute, he got dispossessed. And I think it was Ryan who took him down. They were battling quite aggressively with each other. And yeah, I think Chicho had more conversations with the trainers than he did shots on target, let alone shots on goal. Maxime Crepeau was there at one point to help him up. And so there still is some respect there. There was an instance where like Cheeky was getting into it with the official, and it was Chicho that pulled him aside and was like, "Calm down, brother."
Right.
I know there were some endearing moments leading up to what we're going to talk about in the 72nd minute that really made you miss our number 9, our last true number 9. It's something I didn't mention that I caught when I like to usually sit down before everybody gets to the area. Y'all are up hanging out, eating your food, drinking your drinks and fountains. I like to just sit down and kind of observe things. And I caught wind of like RSL coming out for their warmups. Chicho walked out, Everywhere he went, people were clapping, and he was thanking everybody, giving them the clap, touching with where his heart was. I mean, there are only so many players that our supporters and our fan base would do that for. He's obviously one of them. Latif Blessing is one of them. But I don't even know, and I'd be really curious to see if and when we play the Columbus Crew at home next season, if the fan base is going to be the same way with even Diego Rossi. Because as much as we appreciated and enjoyed him, I don't think there are very many players that we've ever had that were as loved and revered like Chicho and Latif.
I think you can throw Diego Rossi on that list. I mean, he scored the first goal against the Sounders, won a pair of golden boots for LAFC. I know
one, just one.
No, he had the golden boot
too.
No, he had the golden boot in that COVID Cup tournament as well.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
Pair of golden boots.
All right, you got me.
We can always throw Gareth Bale on that list, right? Who can walk in BMO and everyone will cheer him wherever he goes. And, and I think really the other two that we're not talking about that we probably should mention in that same category is Kenneth Vermeer and Fito Zelaya. I think those are two that,
Well, while we're at it, let's just throw Andre Horta in the mix.
Anywhere they go throughout BMO, Kenneth Vermeer will be welcomed with open arms. There you go.
No, I mean, I don't even think people are going to remember who he was. It's like, oh wait, you were Jamal Blackman. No one's going to remember Jamal Blackman or Kenneth Vermeer or geez. Unfortunately, I don't think people would remember Bubba Lopez either, because obviously we didn't have him for a long time.
Yeah. This is how the game sucked, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
We're going off on tangents about, we're trying to keep it light. I don't actually miss Kenneth Vermeer at all.
I don't miss Andre Horta.
No, I
He's
don't.
Still playing Champions League football though with Braga.
With Braga, yeah, but his brother turned out to be the better Horta in all of this. By the way,
we didn't read the fine print. We were so early in our inception. We were so excited to get players that we didn't realize we selected the wrong Horta.
We've captured their stunt doubles. You idiots!
I didn't think I'd laugh on this pod. Thank you for doing that.
62nd minute after Timothy Tillman picks up a yellow card, Nathan Ordaz. Who would have thought, by the way, that for about a 20-minute period, Nathan Ordaz would have been our most potent offensive weapon today? Checking in the 62nd minute, and just 2 minutes later, Ordaz just over the bar with a header immediately into the box. By the way, Nathan Ordaz, I checked his player card just to make sure he's still not 6'2". I have no idea how he was getting up and winning a lot of these aerials when we couldn't get a damn thing going in the box before. Oh, wait, you'd have to cross it into the box in order to have a header like that happen. And we did. And Nathan Ordaz just over the bar in the 65th minute. By the way, it was Chicho absolutely hammering Cheeky Palacios out of bounds. And then just 30 seconds later, Aaron Long fouls Chicho Arango. And I
think everybody booed when he was on the ground again for the third time. But he got up quick. I'll give him that. He got up quick.
There was a lot. I'm still not sure how Mateus Bogusz got that yellow card in the 68th minute.
Crap referees, bro.
Yeah. And look, I thought that in the 69th giggity minute, we could have had a little bit of trouble, right? There was really solid defending on a free kick opportunity for RSL. It wound up being Jesus Murillo who cleared it out for a throw. Really impressed with our defensive block and how well we played defensively. I thought Murillo did a great job. And then a couple minutes later, Murillo gets hung out to dry for sure.
Yeah. And we'd have to go back to the 68th minute real quick to mention Rubio Rubin getting subbed into the match because he's the one who had that gorgeous header. And Chicho was sandwiched in between Ryan and Moody. Granted, he had a lot of space. And he does what he's done for us time and time again, is find the back of the net. Great header, nothing Maxime could have done. And I got to tell you, I was really taken back by this moment. He didn't celebrate, man. And you have your theory on this, and I'm going to keep with mine. He had his head down, and I think it was Ojeda and Oviedo that came. No, or Savarino and Oviedo that came over and hugged him, and he still had his head down. Then the rest of his teammates hugged him. He still had his head down as if he did something wrong. He scored a goal, but yet he didn't celebrate. He didn't celebrate the way he normally would have, with a cheeky little smile on his face. And thanks to our buddies, LA Soccer Hub, shout out to Gio, he was asked about his goal celebration and why he didn't do it. And this is what Chicho said. Here, let's see if this works.
He scored, he didn't celebrate. What was going on in his mind at that point?
It's for respect. It's for respect in the fans, in the team, the LAFC. It's respect.
Only English from now on.
He didn't overly celebrate out of respect for our supporters and our club. If you don't want to reward a man like that for having so much love and compassion for his club, I don't know what to tell you. At that point, I kind of got over the fact that Chicho wasn't with us. Look, it's a business at the end of the day. But when you think about things compassionately, or anywhere else, where does one who wants to be somewhere so badly just not get, I guess, like in a way rewarded? It was just so endearing to me that he didn't celebrate and that he was that way. Like, this is why he'll forever remain one of the most beloved players in the history of our club. Just things like that.
Yeah, you had mentioned my theory on it. My theory, look, he had just been down on the ground several times, fouled, quote unquote, pretty hard, at least one or two of those times, maybe not so much, one of those other two. And he had just hammered Cheeky Palacios and kind of, it was, I turned to Nina and I said, he looks like he's played 4 games already today. Like he had been in a futsal tournament and this was like the final game and he was just already weathered. Just looked like he had sweat more. His hair was a little bit more disheveled. and I think that what he might have also had going through, the reason why he had to keep his head down is because I think he was so emotional and frustrated and really looking to maybe have an outburst in that moment that he had to kind of keep it all together to keep from going like Super Saiyan on everybody there. I think that was, look, either way, just some crappy defending. One ball into the box, one defender with 2 guys in, one player for RSL being Chicho with 2 of our defenders in the box. He kind of drifted on Murillo a little bit, kind of got behind, and there's nothing Maxime Crepeau could have done. Really frustrating way to give up a goal, considering we had bottled them up and bottled them up and bottled them up and bottled them up, and there really wasn't anything they were doing from a run of play. And yet the cross, it was Rubio Rubin with the cross, and it was like a one-touch, one-time cross. It wasn't a let's take a dribble, let's get to a better spot. The ball was passed back to him, and then he flipped this crossover. It was beautiful.
Sorry, I'm just doing some math.
I'm watching Philly. Like, I could see the thought bubbles. It's like, what is that meme from, what was it like? What was that movie with all the numbers and everything? Oh my God, I can see. Anyways. Jesus.
Beautiful Mind?
Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. God, they say the second thing to go is your memory. So yeah, it's
what's the first?
Yeah, I forgot. But it's just so frustrating that one player was allowed to do that. Now we're down 1-0, and we already know. God, it feels like the Mets every time Jacob deGrom would start. Oh no, we gave up 2 runs. Is that going to be enough for us still to be able to win? I think Clayton Kershaw went through a season like that a couple of seasons ago, where now we've given up a goal and we're legitimately concerned, like, oh no, are we going to be able to climb that huge mountain out of that 1-goal hole?
I looked at my watch. I looked at the time. I looked on the pitch, and I thought to myself, there's no way we're going a 4th straight game without scoring. We're going to come back and get a draw, and then Scarf and I are going to anger pod about how we got a draw. It's just inconceivable to me that we couldn't score a goal against a team that we'd have no problem lighting up like a Christmas tree and a pinball machine. It's just we didn't have any really big threats up until really stoppage time. Timothy Tillman had about 3 shots over the course of the game. All of them were wildly off target, not even close. Denny and Mati had some shots. Those were a lot closer. What minute were we in?
We were talking about 72. I did want to bring up something real quick, and then I'll pass it back to you. In the 75th minute, I wrote a note saying 75 minutes in and we're just lacking something in the final 18 again. It's so frustrating. And then as I say that, Mateus Bogusz and Cheeky Palacios can't get on the same page despite being right next to each other down the wing. Matty made the pass, but Cheeky didn't make the overlapping run, so the ball goes out of bounds for a goal kick. And it was just one of those times where I'm like, see, guys, this is what I'm talking about. What are we doing in the training grounds that Cheeky Palacios and Matty Bogusz can't figure things out as they're making a simple run down down that one sideline? I don't know, Philly. After I saw that 75, 76 minutes in, I was like, well, that's going to be it for tonight, folks.
Well, Cheeky did get a yellow card for what I guess was dissent. I'm not exactly sure why he got the yellow. It doesn't surprise me, though.
Are you being sarcastic with that?
Yeah, little cheeky tongue in cheek thing.
A little bit.
I mentioned it earlier, but this is right about the time where Chicho pulled him aside and pushed him away to not get himself into further danger. A guy on the other team did that, whereas somebody else would probably just try to stoke the fire. Chicho tried to put it out. Again, another reason why I just have so much love and respect for this guy as a player and as just a person. I wish he was on our team. I don't think we have these problems if he's still our number 9. I really don't. I think we just murder everybody and at least hoist 1 or 2 trophies. But what do I know? Plus, it's speculative, so who the hell knows? 80th minute, though, somebody who Mati doesn't have a problem organizing chemistry with, Nathan Ordaz. Mati Bogusz had a really great pass in the box, just headed out by Nathan Ordaz, young Nathan Ordaz, and it just missed. And then finally, we have Chicho coming out of the game for Danny Musovski. Something that we haven't seen before. It just looks an awful lot different when they're both wearing mustard-colored kits. Yuck on those mustard-colored kits. All I could think of is the Grey Poupon commercials and then another Wayne's World reference. It's just, I love mustard, but not when I'm looking at it on a pitch.
Those are the ones that I rated pretty highly, I think, if I remember correctly, in our jersey rundown. I liked them, man. I like those kits. I don't know why. I think it's different. It reminds me of Nuprin, little, yellow, different. Either way, it's I don't know. They're plain, that's for sure, though. They're definitely no Bruce Lee kit, no Jimi Hendrix kit, no Johnny Cash kit. Those are fun. Heck, even the NYC Rec and Parks kit.
Park and Recs.
Parks.
And by the way, shout out to our listeners in New York City right now. Dude, New York got walloped. Like, I called my mom and dad concerned, worrying about any kind of flooding. They said they didn't get it as bad because where they are. But, man, Brooklyn got a lot of water, man. You see the images and the photos of people walking in walking in the supermarkets, walking their dogs. I'd hate to think how many more limbs these people are going to grow out of them once everything is settled.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. By the way, shout out to the people in Turkey and St. Martin. Those would be countries 106 and 107.
No kidding.
Yeah, man.
We're up. Shout out in Turkey. Wow.
Pretty cool. Yeah, we have one listener in Turkey. Now, maybe we had listeners in Turkey and now Buzzsprout has updated it to correctly reference the way that they spell their name, the name of their country, now that it's all been fixed. But yeah, there's that. And shout out to, I don't know, our listeners in Tipperary, Ireland. Why not? There you go. There you go. Anyways, we're having fun getting through all this, guys. This is not a fun match, but we're bringing you through it. Danny Musovski trying to score a scarf goal in the 83rd minute. Took a long shot from distance. Easy save by Maxime Crepeau. What's that?
That would have been so awful.
I mean,
I might have gotten up and just walked out right there. Like, what? Screw it. That's it. I'm done. I'm out of here. See ya. Beat the traffic.
85th minute, Carlos putting one high over the bar. Jefferson Savarino coming out. And look, I do want to mention, as bad as Jesus Murillo's effort was on the goal that cost us, a great individual effort in the 89th minute. I mean, I just think it's so hard to put forth the effort that Murillo did in that 89th minute. Go back, head on over for those of you guys that watch the episodes or that watch, the games. You got Apple TV. You can rewatch all these games. Go back and watch Murillo's individual effort in the 89th minute. The dude just doesn't give up. And he could have. He had plenty of reasons to. He was exhausted from the match, but awesome. Palacio gets a yellow, and we can't put a ball into the damn box while we have possession for like almost a minute. Philly, 7 minutes of stoppage time, and you mentioned that was where we kind of turned on the pressure a little bit.
I thought that tackle by Moody actually reignited the crowd, and it could have been a momentum shifter. And once the sideline official put up 7 minutes of stoppage, I think it was Panda that mentioned, thanks Chicho for that. He was on the ground for that long.
Yeah.
So, hey, he gave us a fighting chance. Tillman had a third shot. That was way off the mark, so nothing happened there. There was a corner that came through. At one point, Mati gets a shot off, but not enough. An easy save, but the shot of the game, which could have been the play of the game, which could have been the goal of the week, if not the goal of the month. Denny, and if you go back to listen to the broadcast, it could have been a cross. I don't think so. I think it was a shot. There was nobody there. Denny with a howler, an absolute howler, that if McMath didn't make one of the better saves or one of the best saves of his career, that gets slotted home upper right top shelf, whereas my buddy Nick Vasso says grandma keeps the cookie jar. That was an awesome shot and an awesome save. The soccer gods rained on us today, the same way they rained in New York. Shut down LAFC's defense nearly like the government shut down. That did not occur this weekend. By the way, shit. No, you know what? Never mind. I'm not even going to get into that topic of conversation because I just don't trust any Politico. But anyway, that was a really good opportunity. It was a momentum shifter. The crowd got into it. But alas, nothing transpired. Palencia had one last-ditch effort, had a long ball from nearly center pitch, but it went right to the rising hands of Zach McMath, and referee blows his whistle. And again, I'm thinking 4 straight games without a goal? You got to be kidding me. It's getting really hard to defend the way things are in and around this club. It's getting hard to defend how things are with this staff, and it's certainly tough to defend some of the players on this team. It's just so many factors that we can look into, from like the pro/crap referees. Remember, crap, an acronym for controversial referees acting poorly. There's your slogan. Or pretty rancid officiating, pro, whichever one you prefer. I like the rebrand. But just another game, we lose points and drop in the rankings. We lose at home, something that we're just not used to doing. We don't lose at home, and it's just, yeah, we get into the playoffs. Honestly, what's the point at this level? Like, does this team have, I'm not going to question the commitment and the heart of the players, but are they good enough and confident enough to do anything and make any kind of a postseason run? The way things have been as of late, I'm going to say no.
Listen, Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls, and he did them by beating the GLA, beating Tom Brady to get there. All you got to do is have a chip in a chair and have a chance. And it's going to be really tough for us not to make the playoffs because of where we are. Look, 402 minutes, we haven't scored a damn goal. Don't think that I'm trying to be optimistic and I think that everything is roses when I can see that we're not scoring a damn goal. But we've got 3 matches left in the regular season. We are 4th in the West on 45 points from 31 matches. RSL and Seattle are at 46 points, so 1 point ahead of us. And then, of course, we've got a little ways to go to catch St. Louis. We can't do that this year. Mathematically impossible now. So it's second is the best that we can hope for over the course of the season. Just behind us, 5th place, 1 point back, is Houston at 44. 6th and 7th place, 2 points back, is Vancouver and Portland. And playoffs go all the way to 9th place. In 8th, San Jose, just 3 points back of us. And in 9th, FC Dallas at 41. So yeesh, it is very bunched up. We're talking from 2nd to 9th, separated by 5 points. 2nd to 9th. However, there's a gap after 9th. 38 points from 10th and 11th. 38 points. Now, again, we're on 45 points. So in order for us to drop down, that would require one of these teams that haven't won a whole ton during the season on 38 points, 10th and 11th, to make a run these last few matches and for us to go without winning anything. I don't think that's going to happen, obviously. I think we are going to make playoffs. Whether we're a road team or a home team is still definitely up for anyone's discussion. But Philly, after 402 minutes not scoring a goal, I can tell you, I still think we are 100% going to make the playoffs and still make some noise.
You're a lot more optimistic than I am, because fact of the matter is, when you have a team that puts 20 to 22 shots with 7, 8 of them on target and can consistently not find the back of the net, I view that as an issue. We played 31 matches this year, Scarf. we've had 44 goals.
Yeah.
Right. That's not a whole heck of a lot. I referenced 2020 because 2020 was, well, one of our worst seasons. Actually, 2021 was really a bad season. Actually, we've had a couple of bad seasons. But even if we go back to 2020, in the 22 games that we played, we had 47 goals. Even then, we had just these numbers are inconceivable to me. 47 goals in 22 games in one of our worst seasons. In what should have been a very commanding season for us, we have 44 goals over the course of 31 games. It's just not good, man. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Defensively, we're solid. Hats off to a team. We're actually defending better than we've ever been under Bob's tenure. We just can't score any freaking goals. It's gotten to the point where I am actually missing Bob Bradley maneuvers because even though we concede 3, we'd score 4, 5, or 6. Our team is just not scoring goals. Denny doesn't score. Carlos doesn't score. Ryan Hollingshead doesn't score. Nobody scores. We don't score. Carlos Vela, y'all saying he's had the worst season ever. He still contributed to half of our goals. 10 assists and 9 goals. Denny, obviously 27 goals over the course of every single game in all competitions, but nobody else. Ryan Hollingshead 2 goals away, or what is it, 1 goal? 2 goals away from Graham Zusi for the all-time lead for a goal scored by a defender. But look, Stipe Buke hasn't been the player that we expected him to be. Ati Bogusz is obviously adjusting, and he's a threat, but he's not a scoring threat. Timothy Tillman, I mean, he's a good midfielder, but he's not a scoring threat. Mario Gonzalez, the jury's still out on him. Maybe he can shut all of us up, which I'm hoping for. But even if we make the playoffs, Scarf, what's it going to matter? Because we're not going to the Western Conference Finals, let alone the finals, the way we're playing. Am I throwing everything out and the kitchen sink? It sounds like it. Obviously, you said it, a chip, a chance, and a chair. I like that. That's really good. Not thinking about next year just yet, but I'm just not optimistic right now. I'm going to be there. I'm going to support. I'm going to go to the games. I ain't missing a damn thing. I'm going to pod with you. But this team does not give me the confidence that they're going to make a deep run. Not yesterday, not today, and probably not on Wednesday against Minnesota either.
I wish I had one of those head mascots things from Lee Corso, because I'm going to quote the great Lee Corso from College Game Day. Not so fast, my friend. Here's the deal. We do have 3 matches left in the regular season and perfect opponents upon which to get the ship righted. And then after that, all it takes is getting hot at the right time. You don't have to be great all season to win a championship. I don't care if it's Major League Soccer. I don't care if it's the NFL. I don't care if it's Major League Baseball. It doesn't matter what your regular season record is if you can figure something out at the right time. Now, what we have done over the last 4 matches makes me think that we can figure it out in time?
Blind optimism?
Absolutely nothing. I don't think that if a reasonable person were to be given all of what you see in front of you and what we've done over the course of this year, I don't think a reasonable person could say, yeah, you know what? Yeah. There's still going to be a favorite to win MLS Cup. However, what I think, to me, is that this team is poised for one more run. And the reason why I think that is because of Carlos Vela's answer in the press conference today. I was so happy to hear Carlos. I don't know that he was pissed, but I think that he was prideful when he gave the answer of the only thing that we can do and the only thing that I can continue to do is until our season is done, we continue to fight. I will continue to fight and we will continue to fight is basically what he said in the press conference. And I think if Carlos Vela, by the way, the reason why they sent Carlos Vela out, this is LAFC PR, putting Carlos Vela out there in front of everybody. Now, granted, it wasn't a packed media room like it normally is, but it was Carlos Vela answering the question, It's been 400 minutes, Carlos. What's going on? And Carlos was the one stepping in front of the microphone and saying, look, it has to start with me. I haven't been good enough. We haven't been good enough, but we believe in what we're doing. And we know that if we can turn this around, we can win MLS Cup. It's Carlos saying it. It's not Ryan Hollingshead being trotted out there again, just so he could answer some tough questions and give us a soundbite or two. It's not Ilie Sanchez. It's not Kellen Acosta. It's Carlos Vela who is out there in front of this answering questions. And while I think that Carlos Vela needs to do a little bit more on the pitch than he does in the presser, I also think that Carlos can inspire the rest of the black and gold over the course of these 3 or 4 matches to find their form and make a solid run through MLS Cup playoffs. Do I think it'll happen 100%? No, but that's the beauty of the beautiful game. So you're saying there's a chance.
You asked him what the mood was in the locker room. And in the same press conference, the words that stuck out to me that didn't give me the optimism that you have are we're making bad decisions, making plays that we don't have to play. We're not playing as a team. We're making things tough on ourselves. When you lose trophies, your confidence starts going down. Nobody is having fun. I mean, these are all things that he's saying. Carlos Vela is not having fun. Carlos Vela is not scoring goals. And normally I would agree with you. He just has a tendency to make things calm and make me optimistic. But I felt like I heard something similar when we had that meet and greet with him in the Sunset Club a couple weeks ago. And I felt like I felt that way too prior to that earlier on in the season when he was also on the podium being asked questions. And I'm not a doomsdayer kind of a guy. I'm just slowly accepting the reality that we're just not the same team, obviously. And it just losing all these trophies and these big matches, it's just compiled on. And if we couldn't beat a team that should have been, honestly, RSL should have been an easy W for us at home. No team is easy, and obviously RSL's now in second place, so they're not a bad team, but we should not have given up this game. We should not have lost to Inter Miami. There's so many games back and forth where I think we couldn't have lost, we shouldn't have lost, and the problem is still the same thing. We can't score goals. We don't score goals, we don't win games. It doesn't matter otherwise. But I'd like to think I'm wrong. I'd rather believe you just having a tough time doing it, my friend.
Last reason, and then we can be done with this. We can be done talking about it. We can get a little bit of sleep. It's 11:51. We might get a podcast done before midnight. Don't tell anybody. Last reason that I think we got a little bit more than just a chip in a chair from Carlos Vela. The writing seems to be out there, right? That Carlos is leaving at the end of the season. Carlos might retire. Carlos might go somewhere else. We've heard a lot of different things. So why not? Carlos Vela looking around. And Philly, what is it that you always say? All you need to do is be as good once as you ever was. I think Carlos Vela is going to try and channel his being as good once as he ever was. And these last stretch games, I think we're going to see hopefully a resurgence in Carlos Vela. I think we're going to see a resurgence in LAFC. Again, what is making me think this? Not a flippin' thing. But I have a feeling we're going to give it one more go. We're going to give it one more go, and I think it's going to be based on the leadership of Carlos Vela.
I hope so, but I'd be very curious to hear what happens with Kellen Acosta and what kind of injury he sustained. I'd like to see another one of these.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him hold another one of these. For those of you listening, and I know way more people listen to the show than watch it. I see it in the numbers that are on YouTube pale in comparison to the audio. But what I am holding is my Carlos Head, my Carlos Head Vela bobble, my Carlos Vela bobblehead, along with my little mini MLS Cup. I'd like to see the two of these go back together just for one last time as he rides into the sunset, whether it be back to Cancun or to Spain or wherever else. I just don't know, man. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. I love this club. I love everything about it. I'll be here even in the years where we win 0 games to go 0 for 34. I just I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what happened to Kellen, and we'll see, man. If we lose to Minnesota on Wednesday, though, are you still gonna feel this optimistic?
I mean, look, we got 2 more matches in the next 6 days, right? We got Minnesota and Austin before this next week ends. And so I think there's going to be a lot of reasons to feel optimistic after these 2 games. If not, by the way, if we lose these next 2 or if we play like crap, then I'm going to quote the great Chicken Little, the sky is indeed falling. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens over the course of these last 3 or 4 matches. But Philly, I'm just saying we got a chance still, and we've got the roster that has enough talent. There's enough reasons to be optimistic still. There's plenty of reasons out there to be pessimistic. But you know what? I'm going to stay on the optimism train. And again, Mario Gonzalez will be part of the plan moving forward, said Steve Cherundolo. So expect to see some of that Mario magic on the 4th and then maybe on the 7th. And Philly, with that being said, I think we did it. We got in under midnight. And you guys know how we like to end each and every one of our episodes. And again, big thank you to Miguel. And thank you so much. This was just awesome. We appreciate it. We love you guys. Bye-bye.